We must stop the terror. Now watch this drive.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
And we're back with another episode of your favorite podcast, upcoming stand-up dates. We're looking at December 15th in Calgary, Alberta this Sunday. That's right. DangerCatShop.com for tickets. Sam Walker is back in Calgary. Finally have a venue that will accept the man's jokes. It's a goddamn honor to have him join the squad for a Danger Room back in Calgary. Something you're not going to want to miss. If you are in Calgary, Alberta this Sunday, head on out to the King's Head Pub, December 15th, December 17th. Then we're out in Cali with Brian Holtzman, December 18th, Irvine, December 19th, Oxnard, California, December 21st, Covina. December 31st, Castlegar, BC for the New Year's Eve extravaganza. Oh, I'm forgetting December 27th in Edmonton for a heckle show. That's right, folks. You think that you have the best chirps on the planet? Come on down. Nick McQuick and myself will be hosting a show where we encourage you to make the comedian's life on stage hell. Tickets, we'll do that at the end. But yes, we are encouraging those to come down and give flack to those performing on stage. Don't let the holidays get you down, folks. Don't let the holidays get you down. Release that stress at the day. Don't ruin family dinner. Don't let your outbursts ruin a good Christmas ham, okay? Save it for the 27th. Come on down, Edmonton, Alberta, December 27th. For the Gravel Pit. Throw verbal stones at comedians. And then we have January 24th in Slave Lake, Alberta, January 25th in Fort Mac, Alberta, February 7th and 8th in Hamilton, Ontario, March 28th in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and April 12th in Lloydminster, Alberta. Tickets at DangerCatShop.com. New merch has dropped. I had solved the shipping issue. Some had shipping issues. It was saying it was not available to be delivered on some new items that are on the store. The Elaine Sat Here shirt, now live. You're able to purchase it online. Let's make, let's make face sitting great again. Let's do that. As a community, I ask you, let's make face sitting great again. There's a mayoral election in Peace River this year in 2025, and we have to play a major part in that. Call me a Russian agent. I don't care, but we're gonna maybe throw our hat in the mix. Maybe we'll support a candidate who is willing to hop behind the Make Face Sitting Great Again. DangerCatShop.com for merch, Patreon.com/DangerCat69 if you'd like to support the podcast and have an extra episode every week, and all the old exclusive episodes waiting for you on there. Roast battles, all that good stuff waiting for you on the page, Patreon.com/DangerCat69. You can get the episode that you're listening to right now 48 hours earlier than everybody else, plus an extra episode once it drops on the standard time that all podcasts that I try to make sure that these are out on time. But my God, we're a big operation here. It's a one-man squad behind all of this. So if you'd like to join the Patreon, all links are in the description down below, but let's get into it. Holiday season is upon us. We are in the full front war. It's a shopping war zone out there. The gifts aren't getting to your front door because of the Canada Post strike, and this is causing a lot of frustration for those that, really rely on gifts to soothe the emotional wounds of one's childhood. You want to give your kids the Christmas that they desire, right? Yeah, and now we're pointing the blame at Canada Post as if they are the ones that are ruining Christmas. But before we get into that, why don't we point out some positives? Some people that are doing the Lord's work without even thinking about it. You know, this is the time of year where check stops are very present throughout your cities and towns, right? And there's always one individual in your friend group that takes it upon themselves to what? Post where the check stops are. And that guy goes unrecognized. Now, I know many women may not be happy with what that guy represents, but deep down, it is, you know, we don't condone drinking and driving by any means. We're not about to sit here and give you lectures on whether or not it's morally correct. There are some dangers that come with it. Keep in mind, this is a comedy podcast. This is a podcast of satire and irony before you get all fired up about the words that are about to come out of my mouth. But that guy goes very unrecognized during the holiday season. And we on this show just want to say, you know, we recognize that work. Many of the folks that do tap in to this show probably have experienced the wonderful, I guess, for the lack of better words, we're doubling down on the same one experience of going through a drunk driving charge. Not exactly the most fun, especially at this time of year. Is that what you need? Is that what you need? Layoffs are already upon us. You know, Christmas season is causing spending to go out of control, but thank God the government has stepped in and removed GST here right away, so that way you can, you know, put a few extra shillings in your pocket. But that does not mean that those extra shillings need to go to fight a drunk driving case. Now, I'm not an advocate for hopping behind the wheel after a few cocktails, right? But what would you rather? Okay, what would you rather? You're really relying on Uber. And we don't need to get into the demographics that are driving for Uber. We don't need to discuss those. I feel like many of you that do tap into the pod already know, right? It's a very ran over and backed upon and then ran over again joke that a lot of foreigners are behind the wheel in an Uber. Now, is that equal to you driving hammered? At this point, I'd probably say yes. At this point, what is more safe? You hammered behind the wheel or allowing a guy that just got here from Sri Lanka to tour you around a city freshly dumped with snow? I mean, it's really up to you to decide whose life do you want to put your hands in? Your own after a few cocktails or the alternative? So, I mean, like, this is where we can kind of, you know, it is a dicey thing to talk about. It is a very ignorant subject to bring up very early on in the podcast, but it was just one of those thoughts that I was having last night, and I was thinking to myself, like, this guy goes underappreciated during this time of year of pointing out where all the check stops are in town. So we here just want to say, you know, your investigative reporting does go recognized. Now, is it right to, you know, come out and say thank you for doing this? I mean, who am I to morally sit here and judge your thoughts and your opinion? I'm just saying, you get it. You get it. I mean, we've rubbed shoulders with a few guys that have had a, you know, probably a hat trick of DUIs. Deep down, they have good souls. They just have a problem with the alcohol. They do have big hearts. And I feel like there's no harm in just throwing, hey, just a little heads up. On 50th and 49th, the cops are checking to see if you had a few drinks. So, just saying. And then you get to make the wise decision on whether or not you want to put your life in the hands of a, temporary foreign worker. Or if those 6 beers, let's be honest, 6 beers, like any of you, 6 beers would be like, most of you were laughing at me. 6 beers. I've had 6 while I'm driving. What do you mean? I'm going to take a little bump off the dash and I'll be straightened out. I'll be ready to go. Walking in a winter wonderland. But it is that time of year. It's also the time of year of giving. It is. It's the time of year of giving. And you know what? The government has taken it upon themselves to now take your guns and give them to the Ukraine. We sit here and we criticize the government episode after episode after episode. And right now, how selfish Canadians are when it comes to gun control is just, it's insane, isn't it? You should be excited to hand your weapons over to the Ukrainian military to go and hunt down conscripts within the regions of the Ukraine. So that way they can put more bodies on the forefront of the meat grinder. Is this not what you want? You're over here complaining about Canada Post not delivering your goods on time. What? Treats and snacks so you can fatten yourself up? We have a war that we need to pay attention to. And your weapons are what's going to win that war for the Ukraine. So we ask from this show that you kindly not only wrap those guns up, put a bow on it, make it presentable. So that way, this is similar to when you remember when you were a kid in school and they asked you, hey, put a little shoebox together so you can send it to underprivileged kids around the globe. This is similar, okay? We're just doing it in your adult years now. There is a army that is struggling to find men to fight this war for them. They need to boost the numbers because that's all that this is right now. It's a numbers issue. And if they don't have enough guns to point at their own citizens to throw into a van and push them to the forefront of that war, then what are we doing with our guns over here? What are you going, sport shooting? You going sport shooting with these military assault style weapons? Is that what you're doing with it? It could be used for much greater purposes than sitting in your gun cabinet, waiting to go to some silly little range so you can shoot a paper target, okay? This could be pointed in the face of a young 32-year-old man who's about to ruin Christmas because he got thrown into a moving van to be pushed to the front lines of a war. And you're so selfish that you feel your guns need to be in your safe? Come on. It's the holiday season. Why aren't we giving? One of the most successful gun buyback programs in North America, if we're being honest, I think they've scooped up a total of 12 guns. So that's 12 soldiers in the Ukraine that are able to probably, if we're going by numbers, if you have 12 of those guns, you'd probably be able to multiply the bodies by at least maybe 4, 5, 6. Who knows? You could probably get 4 men with 1 gun. We're talking hundreds of men being pushed into a needless war. And your selfishness right now by not handing over your weapons to the Liberal government, the federal government of Canada, is stopping this. You should feel ashamed this holiday season. You should feel ashamed when you feel the need to go and post on Twitter, Facebook, whatever social media platform that you're upset over the fact that Canada Post hasn't delivered a bag of fucking candy to your front door. Think about all those poor goddamn soldiers over in the Ukraine that aren't able to round up their citizens this holiday season. Give your head a shake. Give your head a shake. It is incredibly infuriating that Canadians are this selfish. We praise ourselves on being multicultural and giving and kind and nice, and then you have an opportunity to do something great with your weapons and you decide to just hang on to them. For what reason? So what? Car thefts are up. So what if robberies at a mall, at a jewelry store are up? Come on. They've already gave you the procedures to ensure that it's nonviolent when your car gets stolen by just placing the keys on the front door, so that way those car thefts can go seamlessly, okay? Because Africa, as we've seen, these vehicles, there's Quebec license plates popping up all over Africa, for Christ's sakes. Is that what you give? That's what this country was designed for, to give. And it's time you give a shit. I didn't mean to get so angry right out of the gate here, but here we go. To boost Ukraine's army, feared patrols hunt for potential conscripts. Officials looking for men stalk nightclubs, concerts, subway stations, but some accuse the patrols of dubious measures. Oh, you're telling me that this is wrong? A stone's throw away from advancing Russian troops, Volodymyr refuses to leave his eastern Ukrainian town. The daily Russian pummeling has killed some of his neighbors and destroyed buildings around his house. But the 34-year-old does not want to move to a safer area because he would be forcefully conscripted. So it's much more pleasurable to be sitting in an active war zone than to have the Ukrainian military scoop you up and put a gun in your hands to go to the front lines. So this is Christmas, and what have you done? You're just a selfish prick, so donate your guns. I'll be herded back home with a gun in my hands. Holy Christ. Way too many guys he knows have been killed, wounded, incapacitated since the 2014 Russian-backed separatist sparked a conflict in Eastern Europe that killed more than 13,000 people, and a quarter of them civilians, and displaced millions. Casualties soar after Russia's full-scale invasion began in 2022. Here we go. At least this is where we get into the numbers. About 1.3 million Ukrainians serve in the military. At least 80,000 soldiers of eligible age, 25 to 60. So we need old men in there. You know, in Canada, we have the MAIDS program, right? The MAIDS program is just a little different in the Ukraine. The MAIDS program over there is they hand over a Canadian's weapon and put that in your hand, and then you just go fucking, you just wait for a drone to strike you. Have died since 2022, according to the Western estimates. President Volodymyr Zelensky. The government does not divulge the official death toll. He says that the army needs to enlist 500,000 out of the 3.7 million men of fighting age who are eligible for service. So essentially, it's almost like a lockdown all over again, just for fighting age males in the Ukraine. You lock yourself indoors, have your wife go out. You know, it's got to be a good time for the ladies right now. It's got to be very safe. That's the only way feminists can feel safe in this world, by living in an active war zone where the military is looking to scoop up fighting age males. That's one way for the feminists to feel good out there. And I'm almost for it. I'm almost for it at this point, because if I got to hear another Swiftie talk about the Eras Tour fucking ending, I might join the forefront of the Ukrainian war myself. I believe I talked about that flight from Edmonton to Toronto with a cabin full of Swifties, and I thought to myself, do you know what? I wouldn't even be upset if we were on our way to the Donbass region and you were going to round me up and throw a gun in my hand. In fact, I wouldn't even need any bullets. I'll just wait for that drone strike to hammer me. than to listen to Taylor Swift's greatest hits sung by a bunch of litter box janitors. What a painful experience that was. But this is what you get to look forward to in the next little while as a gun owner in Canada. Now, your guns are going to be rounded up and handed to the military in the Ukraine. But let's go over to the CBC and we're going to listen to Rosemary Barton, one of our favorite journalists on the program, give us a rundown. She's got us a few questions. When will Canada's gun buyback program be fully launched? I mean, we gave
Minister Duclos, thank you so much for making the time.
There we go.
Hello, Rosemary, and hello to everyone listening.
Look at this guy. This is like all of our politicians now are just caricatures of like an evil villain in a Disney remake. You know, in 2024, 2025, you're going to see many of the villains in Disney remakes look identical to this guy right here, a Dracula character from the 60s, but now is a DEI villain in the future. This is the typical white businessman that we all get excited about when they get capped outside of a hotel prior to a board meeting in New York City. Very interesting. But this is the politicians that are getting in front of this to make you feel more safe. That's what they are. They're trying to squeeze that guardrail and put you into this just marching line that's guided. You're just a cattle. You are cattle to them, and they want to guide you to the slaughter. That's what the goal is, by removing more of your rights. And if you haven't recognized that in the past 6 years prior to COVID, we can even go back to 2001. And as they slowly remove all your freedoms and all your rights, and all these people that throw their hands in their air and go, well, what freedoms have you lost? Gee, I don't know. The fact that they're trying to clamp down on the internet, they're removing the weapons, they're removing speech, they don't want you talking to one another, gatherings are monitored, you're in a total surveillance state no matter where you go or what you do. You downloaded an app during the lockdowns that you needed to travel, but then tapped into your phone, and tax dollars are being spread out throughout the whole globe and laundered back into these morons' pockets. They're living a very rich, wealthy lifestyle, meanwhile looking down their nose upon you because you drive your car to work. You know, you need a smaller house. You need to pay attention to the environment. Meanwhile, they have a cavalry of Yukons behind them to protect them, to ensure that their safety is always in check. Meanwhile, you get to experience things like public transit that are ridden with crime, drug addicted individuals that are looking for their next fix, that'll hold a knife to your throat in front of your own children. They'll stab you over vape smoke like we've seen in Vancouver. I mean, God forbid. Oh, thank the Christ above me that you're getting rid of the guns, because I was really worried about being stabbed.
All of the firearms that were added to this program this week for the gun buyback program, just to increase the number of firearms. But the program itself was announced 4 years ago. And at the press conference this past week, you guys said that only a couple dozen guns had been destroyed. When can Canadians expect this program to really get started, Minister?
It's not. That's the thing. It's not. Until we see the time will come where you as a registered gun owner are going to be visited by law enforcement, and they're going to forcibly remove those weapons from you, because those that have abided by the law and did the proper steps, you know, you think those guys are running around and sticking up liquor stores? Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. When I think of a criminal, I think of the guy that stores it safely in one of those big, beautiful gun storages that has, like, it's impossible to break into these fucking things. This guy follows all the rules, calls the RCMP if he's using a restricted firearm at the range and has to transport it, does all the necessary steps to ensure that having that gun in his possession is just, you know, is there. It's there. He's doing all the necessary things. But that's the guy. That's the guy I'm worried about walking into a subway station and having a little meltdown that day. Just because you add more guns does not make me feel safer. I don't understand. This is what I don't understand. Their logic is I don't understand how they think and feel. I mean, we get what the motive is here. It is to remove as many of these weapons off the street or out of the hands of citizens that would be the ones that would stand up and fight back. You're not going to get, you know, if there was a power vacuum, of course the gangs are going to try and, you know, disrupt a little bit of that. But I don't think that they could mobilize enough to successfully overthrow a governing body. I don't think that they have those skills, let alone, you know, the organization to do so. Where, as we've seen with the trucker convoy, and I think generally, it would be okay to make the assumption that conservative-leaning individuals are more interested in, you know, guns, hunting, heading to the range, shooting. More conservative-leaning folks are on farms or in rural areas of the nation. So having a firearm or a hunting rifle to, you know, protect their chickens from coyotes, wolves, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. I can make a ton of points here. But those are more of the individuals that would possess a legal firearm in their household and abide by all the rules and laws that they put in place. Now, when you have a liberal government that sees this as almost a threat towards them, seeing as that many people were able to mobilize and they do possess these weapons, it is a bit fearful because they're trying right now. What I've noticed in a lot of the Canadian media is they're trying to convince you that right now has been the most difficult time to be a politician in this nation because of online threats, online criticism. The headlines that come out from that are very apparent. They're trying to convince you that their lives are being threatened daily. Now, whether we should take those threats serious or not, I mean, for Christ's sakes, I'm being threatened daily for a joke that I've posted to almost coming on 3 years ago. So, I mean, where's my article? Where's my article being like, comedians' lives are at stake? Mwah! I don't get to make the decision or vote on your financial well-being, your health, your overall quality of life. I don't get that luxury. Now, if I was in that position, your lives would be much worse. I would rule this place like a total dictator. And I wouldn't be smug about it. I would at least, you would know. We would know that this is a total dictatorship under my rule, instead of like giving the illusion of democracy, giving all these illusions that your safety is my concern. In fact, you think the Ukrainians are bad. If you gave me the power to hand the military weapons that I've seized from a different country to then throw you at the forefront of some war that I've started, then I would say saddle up, because it's going to get hairy. Okay? But anyways, my rant.
Well, thank you for the question. And you did point to 4 years ago, which is indeed when that all started. Now, these weapons are designed to be weapons of war, to be used and designed for battlefields. They are not designed for use in our communities, and they are designed to kill as many people as possible in as little time as possible. That is why, indeed, 4 years ago, we did prohibit 1,500 models of such assault-style weapons. Unfortunately, the industry, the arms industry, is quite agile and creative, and new models of such weapons have been designed over the last 4 years. And that's why yesterday we announced an additional 324 models that are now prohibited. The next steps now is next week to make sure that a new evergreen classification system is put into place, which means in practice that all firearms models, restricted, unrestricted, and possibly assault-style weapons, will have to go through clearance by the RCMP to make sure that they are properly assigned in the manner that the RCMP will do. And then, as we said yesterday as well, there are 2 phases of the compensation, the buyback program that we did announce quite a few years ago, as you said, that will be
wildly
or
unsuccessful.
have started already. The first phase is with shops and stores. That has been tested over the last few weeks. It's done really well.
No, it
so we are
hasn't.
ready to launch it officially for all stores that have been holding these assault-style weapons prohibited since 2020. And in 2025, we will move with phase 2, which is a buyback program from individuals.
Okay, so there was a pilot project, as you said, and that's where some of these restricted weapons were destroyed. When
millions of your tax dollars went into this buyback program, this soft launch, if you will, and it was wildly unsuccessful. I think it was a total of 12 weapons. It was like it was extremely irritating to read that report on how little they were able to claw back with this. You know, even I myself would probably be able to go out in the streets and get my hands on more weapons than what these idiots were able to claw back from Canadian citizens. It is rather concerning how quickly they make these decisions without thoroughly thinking it all through. It is just a illusion that your safety is a concern. And we're seeing it with Bill C-63, the Online Harms Act, of them putting child safety at the forefront of it. When, you know, if you look, they're doing the same thing that the Americans do. They bring these bills into place. And then it's just a pile of paperwork where if you actually read what their objective is with it is to restrict the internet and its use, and your use on it, I should say. And those that do use the internet in, I don't know, in a different way than you and I do, like maybe trolling or annoying these politicians, now that it gives them the power to not only jail you, but to ruin your life financially. And this should be concerning to a lot of Canadians. As they're removing your weapons, they're removing your freedom of speech as well. And I know this is where some folks step in and they're like, well, you know, you shouldn't, we got to get rid of that. No, we need bad speech. The only way you can correct bad speech is with more speech and better speech. That's the only way. It's proven in history, time and time again. I don't know how many times we got to have this discussion, and those that are championing these bills being passed to suppress and control their political enemies are the ones that that are totally disillusioned by these decisions, because eventually they're going to come for you too. Eventually, this is going to be a country where we just sit around snitching on one another over bad things said, because you can retroactively go back and say, this guy offended me at this time. And as long as you have some proof of you saying something offensive online, then, hey, there's $25,000 in your pocket. So that's what this is going to turn into. It'll be a shit show. It'll be the digital age of the Soviet Union. You know, it's sad. I don't want to live in a place where we're restricting things. It should be free. It should be that you should be a free individual and have autonomy over your body, over your own life. But instead, we elect these suits and ties, these bankers, lawyers, and politicians all gather to make sure that you stay controlled. And that's what they want. And by doing this, they give you the illusion that your safety is a concern, but it's really for their own safety because they know that they're in hot water right now. Why would they want your weapons? Why would they want your weapons? If you think if they truly gave a shit about your safety, downtowns would not be riddled with, drug addiction, homelessness, disease, robberies, theft, armed robberies. The list goes on. Car thefts, carjacking, stabbings, violence. The streets would not be littered with that if they truly cared about your safety. But they hop on, do these press conferences and give these inflated statistics that your safety is of their concern, and it's far from that reality. It's all in their best interest, the ruling class's best interest. And I don't know how folks don't see this. I truly don't. It's rather bothersome to me. It is that these dorks and there's folks that listen to a man like that sits there and like, we came in and we took another 1,500 firearms off the list. Like that's going to do anything. The biggest weapons manufacturer is our neighbor. You don't think these weapons can magically cross the border? I imagine there's thousands of illegal weapons that cross the border every day and get in the hands of actual criminals at an enormous rate that you are never going to be able to control. Never. You're never, ever, ever going to be able to control that. And as we've seen with the only way that we've seen a bit of a jump to secure the border was the threat of a 25% tariff on Canadian goods into American soil. Or onto, sorry. And then all of a sudden now the Canadian government is taking border policies very serious and border security very, very serious because that would economically damage us. That would hurt us so bad. And now they are forced to take this serious. So doing something like this is just another one of these like throwing dust in the air as if it's like a magic show in front of your eyes. And we're supposed to believe that these folks are truly taking your safety serious, when in reality, we all know it's for them, especially after what just took place in New York City. I mean, a CEO getting assassinated like that, it's very, very wild. Very wild times that we are in, and very suspicious how quickly they came out. And this guy's sitting in a McDonald's. He's sitting in a McDonald's with the weapon and a manifesto and gets arrested there. Something seems very odd with this. I miss when they would put effort into fooling us. Now it's just like, this old song and dance again. I feel like I've read this before. We know more about this guy than we did Thomas Crooks, for Christ's sakes, after he tried assassinating a president, a former president, an electoral president. A president in the election, the upcoming election. Sorry. And we're supposed to believe that all of this just took place magically? Like this guy just all of a sudden and the, you're seeing the celebration of both people from the left and the right as like viewing this as a class war of those, and the wealthier coming out and be like, he had a family. And the rebut to it is like, oh, really? What about all those people he denied claims to? Did they not have families? Did they not want to live longer? But they just pulled the rug out from underneath them. And the total disconnect that the wealthy have with the impoverished portion of North America is truly remarkable at this point, isn't it? Like you really see how the rich think. You really are seeing inside of the minds of the wealthy with the assassination of that CEO of a health insurance company. It's crazy. And we're all supposed to just blindly believe the news as they're coming out and being like, apparently he couldn't have sex. That's one of the articles I'm seeing. Apparently he was sexually frustrated. That's what did it. Now you're going to see that young males and this male loneliness, it's going to shift. You're going to see like the because they're already saying there's an epidemic of male loneliness in North America, that young males aren't dating as much as they are. You've empowered women to feel that their sexuality is supposed to be the representation of femininity, and they've taken this and now we have sluts and whores all running through the streets when men now are looking for love. A lot of men just want to settle down, have a family, enjoy this. They realize the hollowness that comes with this like lifestyle of frivolous sex, drugs, alcohol, rock and roll. You get to an age and it does get quite old. And I know, again, we got to go back to the point of, well, heck, you spent a good number of your years promoting heavy metal, heavy women, heavy drinking. I understand that. I've gone through the process of like growing up, and it's not that fun to look back at your past and be like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe I did that. But I have to make fun of it so that way I can soothe the wounds of my mistakes. You understand? And I feel like that's a lot of young men right now, is they're looking for those individuals to just share life with. And now we have male loneliness, and they're going to be starting to look at that as like a root source of why a lot of frustrated males are acting out. And they're going to blame that. That's going to be the next focus of blame, is that male loneliness is at an all-time high. Incels now feel that they possess some power, and those that looked at someone like the fictional character of the Joker and his storyline to be a part of their life now, and how they can solve the issues of society. It's similar to like when Fight Club came out and a lot of young men were angered because of like the corporate takeover of America, and they opened their eyes to it, and now they're angry, and they were like, well, the white angry men, why are they angry in the suburban lifestyle? Well, it's not like every white guy comes from this wonderful life that is like, my family's together, we get together every Sunday and we have dinner after church, and my mother tells me how proud she is, my father played catch with me, it was just wonderful. Not everybody came from that, but they put this illusion out in the air that every white dude had this wonderful upbringing, when in reality, like, we all had our own. Every fucking person has their own different struggle on this planet, and to try and associate this, and you're going to see it, I guarantee it. I'm trying to look in the future on this, and there's going to be a clampdown and a push to try and cure this. Is by having, maybe with this new administration, is they're going to look to try and clamp down a little bit on this, like, these lifestyles that the left is pushed as being like, having this individuality and the celebration of oneself rather than the nuclear family. I think you're going to see a push of that, and a push to solve the health issue across North America, because if the United States is going to shape up, that's going to transcend into Canada, and hopefully, I would love to see people get healthier and happier, and even myself, looking back, is like, I used a lot of those substances just to squash a lot of this maybe emotional distress of problems that I've had in the past or growing up, and that was my only way to really be popular amongst a crowd of people, is by being the most fucked up in that crowd. And there was something like point and laugh at, and oh, we're having a good time. Heck, the life of the party is here. Oh boy, here we go. And having a lifestyle change can be very drastic. It can be very scary because you don't know what you're going through, what you're processing. But I hope that's the case. I know that that was a long-winded way to get to my point of being that the media now trying to make it seem that this Luigi was just a lonely male, and this was his only way of expressing himself, and when we truly don't know the motives of it. I personally don't believe that they've fucking caught him. I don't think that they've got him yet. I think he's still out on the loose, and we're just looking at somebody that they're putting and be like, hey, don't try it because we'll catch you very quickly. That's what it seems like. And now with this, I mean, we've moved on past the gun buyback program, but you know, it does seem very scripted, and right now entertainment isn't what it used to be. You know, with the internet now being very prevalent in our lives and it being an information highway at a hyper speed, we are able to pass along a lot of information that, you know, would have been never released in the media. We would have never known a lot of these truths. We would have never been able to exchange ideas at the capacity that we are. And we're seeing that with entertainment. Is now we like reality. We like being in tune with what's going on. And I believe that lockdowns had a lot to do with that, because we, you know, without Hollywood producing any new films, any new series that could capture our imagination and keep us from digging into the truth, you've caused this spark and this I guess inquisitive nature to take over a lot of individuals that did turn to conspiracy theories, or, you know, which a lot of them turned out to be true. We're watching it in real time. We're seeing people dive into the sinister nature of corporations. We're seeing the absolute evil of Hollywood being present all over news cycles now, from P. Diddy to Epstein. All your actors, musicians, you know, they've all visited some pedophile island or went to a freak-off party in the Hamptons. And now we are turned off from it. We want the reality, and now the reality that we're entertained by is murder in the streets of New York City. It's no longer. Did you see the new Deadpool movie? Did you go see the new Who's going to a theater these days? This is entertainment now. It became very, very, very known over the past 4 years that Hollywood is littered with pedophiles. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Vitaly, that streamer Vitaly, caught some Hollywood producer out in this. Nickelodeon is coming out and being like, telling that their head producer liked looking at kids' feet or whatever it was. I never did watch that series. I only got the Coles notes of it. But now we're seeing all of this present. It's in the media. Jay-Z, for Christ's sakes, is he's all over headlines now for, well, not good things. I don't really want to. It's disgusting. It's gross. These people are twisted. Nothing good has come out of the music industry. Nothing good's coming out of the film industry, the television industry. And now we turn to these folk heroes. You don't want these, and I say this in air quotes, is like folk heroes that stand up against these big businesses, these big corporations, and murder a CEO in the streets, and everybody celebrates it. So they gotta damage his character. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm sure it's already happened, that somehow Mein Kampf is attached to this guy. Somehow, some way. It's the same thing that they're doing in Syria right now. It's like there was issues of Mein Kampf in Arabic language all throughout the country. Freshly wrapped books, ready to be distributed to the population. Somehow you have to tie that this guy is a Nazi. Somehow, some way, you have to make him seem like he's even though he's like some computing engineer nerd that started some coding club in high school, is what I'm reading. It all seems very odd, is what I'm saying. And now you don't want these, you know, you want these fighting age males being fucking rounded up and sent to the Ukraine to fight that war. You don't want them here. Do you want them here? Who knows what they could get up to? They could do another trucker convoy. You don't want them here. Fucking hell. But that's what that idea of removing masculinity, because there is a lot of strong individuals out there. There's a lot of strong men, and I'm not talking about these ones that hop on podcasts, i.e. me, and sit here and talk about being an alpha male, which I am. If there is a true form of an alpha male, you're looking at it, you're in the presence of one, you are listening to one. And I know, like, a true alpha male wouldn't sit here and tell you that he's an alpha male, but I think it's known, right? I think you're able to understand that when I walk into a gym, all the juice monkeys get out of my way and say, I snap my fingers, they put on 2 35-pound plates on the bench press and watch me blast off 8 reps because I'm a big dog in there. I bark every time I pump out a rep. I let them know. The junkyard dog's in town and we're throwing some fucking weight around in here. That's what I do when I get into the Iron House. I start throwing weight around. What are you looking at? I try and pick fights on a treadmill. That's what I'm doing. To try and encourage the young males to get out there and just be egregious, outrageous, obnoxious, tell women they're whores. That's going to be the next movement of this podcast. Is I'm going to drag out every whore in Edmonton and I'm going to sit them across from me and I'll be like, so what makes you a slut? Huh? I'm an alpha male. I'm sitting here right now in front of you and I want to know why you're a whore. I want 7 women around me and I'm going to tell them they're all sluts. And immediately after, I'm gonna then promote parties where I'm like, hey, do you want to come hang out with whores, sluts, liquor, booze, all of that? Hey, $1,000 a ticket. Come on down. But I'm not anywhere near a ocean by any sort, so it won't be a yacht party. I think it's going to have to be something a little more low-key. Maybe something that we did in the past. We'll have to do like an amateur strip contest that we did earlier when the Danger Cats brand, you know, we got to go back to the old school ways and totally going against everything that I talk to. While I promote promiscuity, we're not even going to attempt that. Promiscuous behavior from young females to diminish their value. We're also going to accost them and make them feel shallow by reminding them of their whorish behavior all on a podcast. That's what it's all about, being an alpha male these days. You don't actually have to be one. You just got to pretend to be one online, which I plan on doing. I think that's the only way to move forward with young men, is just making them obnoxious and out of control. I need liquored up retards driving drunk throughout the city. That's what I need. That's going to be my motive going forward. And that's why we get in trouble. Because I ironically say some wild shit like that, you know, and I feel for this, you know, because it was a totally different era when I was coming up in the game, you know. It was a totally different time. We weren't so tapped into social media apps. I mean, for Christ's sakes, it would take 2 weeks before you uploaded pictures from your digital camera to Facebook. Somebody's girlfriend always had a digital camera, and it would be like a week or 2 later, she would go through the photos and upload some, and you'd be like, oh man, we were so fucked up. It would take 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks. Now it's instant. It's instant. Photo, you do something stupid, it's on the internet, and the possibility of it going viral on TikTok, then Barstool picks it up, and now you're a viral sensation, even though it's like it's causing problems in your personal life. A lot of things start to unfold in your life because of one little video. Your whole world can change. Where we didn't really experience that as a, you know, you could... The only way you knew someone was a whore was through word of mouth, or you just took a swing at the plate and you hope to God that you found out. There was only 2 ways of really finding out whether or not, and you physically had to be out. You had to be out. You had to capture phone numbers. There was a lot of work involved to get laid. Now you can do it all from the comfort of your home. You can just DM people. You can beat your dick into submission all day long by this screen that's in your pocket. Your mind is constantly under attack That's crazy. Advertising is out of control. Porn is out of control. Everything is just like dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit. You had to physically go out. You had to physically go, unless you had like a laptop, a family computer, you could punch one out every now and then. But it was a battle. You had to Navy SEAL jerk off. Now you can punch one out in an airport handicap stall. Everywhere you go. You seen cleavage in the wild. You would have to like you would fucking take a mental image home with you that evening, and that would work sometimes. Times are evolving, and I could see why male loneliness is and the political division between genders too. Even we're seeing movements popping up of denying sex. The whores are putting it away. Finally, that's because I'm going to drag them onto a podcast and be like, listen, put the pussy back on the market. We need it. What are you doing? What are you doing? Some of you, you know what? The pussy was never really on our minds, but we appreciate the effort. But stop it. This product was discontinued a long time ago and nobody's reordering, okay? What you're doing here is just totally self-serving. Nobody's buying into it. We get it. The 4B shaved our heads. No sniz for you. We understand what you were trying to do, but it was going to be wildly unsuccessful. It's going to hurt your ego and your ego only. This was a total, standing on a very small hill, acting as if it's a mountain and you conquered it, okay? I respect it. I respect anybody who feels the need to, make themselves seem larger than what they actually are, and there's pun intended with that. But I mean, come on. We've got other things to worry about right now, okay? Other than the fact that you're not giving up whole that nobody wanted. I'm not fucking running around town and being trying to use my piece as a bargaining chip to get what I want. No, it wouldn't work for the guys. You hold more power with a vagina, but only certain. Then there's a hierarchical system. There's a hierarchy system with the vagina as well. It's like hot girls aren't going to give up their pussy power for what? The bottom feeders? Okay, why? I'm living a great life. Why would I give that up so that way you can feel good about whatever movement that you... No. All you're doing is just directing the attention and being like, oh, okay, I've been spending all my time over here and it's gotten me nowhere. And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I wake up to the idea I'm never going to get laid over here. So now I just direct my attention elsewhere where the possibility now presents itself once again. So, I mean, it's just all out of control, folks. And that's why we talk about the things we talk about on this show. And that's why we bring up these points. We're going to head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/DangerCat69 to continue the episode. Head on over there. Great way to support the show. Links are down in the description down below. It would be a tremendous help, supporting this podcast, supporting what we do. If not, hey, whatever, what do I give a shit? Come see us live. Come see myself, Brett Forte, and Sam Walker live. Like I said, Nick McQuick and I got a heckle show on December 27th here in Edmonton. Please come on out to that. Tickets available at dangercatshop.com. Description down in the link down in the description as well. And also merch up live, brand new designs, all sorts of new designs. One of my favorite is the Rolling Stone one. It's the Rolling Stones fucking logo, but with the eating pussy. It's hilarious. I'm a funny guy. What can I say? Anyway, see you next week, Thursday, 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Good night, everybody.